Hello, I'm Chini. A few years ago, I made and released a retro-inspired platformer where you cannot jump. The game is called Serious Scramblers, and it was first released on iOS in 2018, then on Steam in 2019, and finally on the Nintendo Switch in 2020 last year. The game is also available as a beta on Google Play, but due to various reasons, it was not released officially. Serious Scramblers is developed primarily solo on a part-time basis, mostly during the weekend for a period of 1.5 years before its initial release, because I had to hold other part-time jobs to pay the bill. It has been a while since the game's release on multiple platforms, and I feel the time is right for a post-mortem. Now let's get sales figures out of the way first. Since the game's release in the November of 2018 on iOS, Serious Scramblers has made a net revenue of just slightly more than $10,000 spread across the various platforms, most of which was made during the first few months after the iOS release. Look at this chart. Now you can see here that iOS makes up for the bulk of the revenue, followed by the Switch, and then finally Steam, which contributed a paper-thin slice to the chart. I should point out that the game is sold on Steam and the Switch eShop at $199, but is free on the Apple App Store. The iOS version is monetized through ads and in-app purchases, so this leads us to this chart here. In-app purchases made up for just about 5% of all iOS revenue, and video advertisement makes up for the rest. From a financial standpoint, Serious Scramblers hasn't made nearly enough to sustain a living, especially considering the number of hours I spent developing it. Still, I've thoroughly enjoyed working on it, and have found it to be an important learning experience, as well as a step in the right direction, for me personally, as a developer. Alright, with that out of the way, let's carry on with the postmortem. Limiting the scope of the game. Serious Scramblers started as an attempt at remaking this old Nokia phone game called Rapid Roll, which features a ball rolling from platform to platform while avoiding spikes. Aside from having a boss fight and a few other character-specific features, Serious Scramblers did not stray far from the template set by Rapid Roll. This allows me to get the gameplay up and running quickly, and let friends playtest the game. Had I not adhered to these constraints, the development of the game would have taken far longer, or worse, never be done at all. Reaching out for playtesters, I tried putting on a thicker skin and seek volunteers to help test my game. Twitter was instrumental in helping me find a number of kind, helpful individuals who gave me important feedback. That said, nothing quite beats observing others play your game in person, and I have my friends to thank for that. Reaching out to Apple. I cannot stress how important this is. Considering the problem with the discoverability of games today, it is worth every effort to try and get one's game noticed by the App Store editors. In my case, I was lucky enough to get a response from them, and even receive vital feedback on how to improve the game. On the week of release, Serious Scramblers received a prominent spot under the new games section, and in the subsequent months was featured as Game of the Day in many countries. All of these brought in a vast number of downloads. Last I checked, Serious Scramblers has been downloaded on the App Store over 250,000 times. If you have a game you intend to release on the App Store, please reach out to Apple. Again, I cannot stress how important this is. Here's the link. Updates plus participating in events. After the game's launch on iOS, I continued updating the game by adding characters. On occasions, an editor would reach out to me about participating in some upcoming events, right, like the New Year event, National Day, etc. And I would get to work patching the game with more content. This gave additional visibility to the game and kept the downloads going for a bit. Okay, right, let's well, it's time to talk about complacency. During the playtest, I've had a couple of people who reported a rather peculiar problem. The game did not reliably detect input when they pressed against the left edge of the screen. As it turns out, this was caused by the iOS 3D Touch App Switcher functionality. Once I've communicated to the testers about this, the problem was quote-unquote resolved. The solution was for them to not press on the left edge of the screen. Yeah, I figured that this wouldn't be much of a problem at launch, considering I've only had a couple of testers raise this problem. How wrong I was. On the day of release of the iOS version of Serious Scramblers, I was hit by a series of 1-star reviews complaining about unresponsive controls. In response, I started replying to every review about the issue and get to work fixing this responsiveness problem. The solution is that I drew 2 fake buttons at the bottom of the screen, away from the edges of the device. Surprisingly, that was enough to fix the problem, and the game's rating improved drastically afterwards. Retention problems. On iOS, it definitely seemed like the retention rate is very low. Half of the people who downloaded the game did not get past the first level. From a financial standpoint, this means I don't make much at all. From the gameplay standpoint, this could mean that Serious Scramblers is not particularly friendly towards more casual players. I don't really want to make the game any easier than it currently is, but perhaps I should have been more lenient with how many times players are allowed to continue from where they died in the mobile version of the game. Well, that took a little while. Developing Serious Scramblers has been a fun experience, and I've learned a lot from it. Serious Scramblers was the first time my game ever got featured on the App Store. It was also the first time I got to release on a Nintendo console. As someone whose first gaming experience was on the Game Boy, that meant a lot to me. Anyways, I shall call it here. Before I go, I just want to give a shout out to Dizzyman, who made the music for the game, and Victoria Cheston, who drew the icon artwork. They do amazing work. If you are interested to follow my game development journey, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Also, feel free to post any questions if you like. I'm more than happy to answer them. Of course, I would like to thank all the players of Serious Scramblers. Alright, thank you so much for playing my game. Alright then, thanks for listening. I'll see you around. Bye bye.